All right, good morning. Appreciate you guys being here. Just want to recognize some of our guys from last week. Just appreciate their continued effort. It's critical for our team. Defensive Scouts of the Week, Jeff Etzinger and Tadarius Collins. Offensive Scout of the Week is Eli Yoakum, and Special Teams Scout of the Week was Mitch Evans. So appreciate those guys and all that they do. Good meetings with our guys yesterday. Obviously, just talking through their mindset and where we are, and obviously we got to be able to continue to come together and fight. And just appreciate the guys and the way they've responded. But obviously, we have a great week of preparation. It's very critical, without a doubt, playing a very good football team on the road that has a lot of talent at all positions, all three phases, and a tough environment to play in. So great opportunity for our program to continue to grow and develop as a team. A lot of football ahead of us, and so excited about the opportunity this week to come back and keep working. Questions?
I guess, Tom, sorry to hit the quarterback question every week, but just how did you evaluate the way Brendan played, and do you feel comfortable at this point just sort of standing on the idea that, you know, he stays there as number one and he gets to kind of move forward, maybe make some mistakes, but just stay in that role and grow into it?
I do, and I think that he, thought he played tough, thought he played gritty, thought he competed, continue to grow and develop. I think he's got to continue to speed up some of his reads, but that's part of the process of growing and developing as a player. And thought he did some really good things in terms of helping us move the football. Obviously, got to continue to grow and develop as a decision maker in both throwing and running, but the throw game as well. We got to do a better job of making some of those contested catches. I think that's a huge plus for him, but also just kind of speeding up those reads. I think he'll get the ball out a little quicker as he continues to grow and develop. So, but felt like after watching the film and meeting as a staff and feel good about moving forward with him.
Yeah, Tom, in terms of, wins is obviously an important measuring stick for a program, but there's other things. I was curious, are there areas where you can point to that you see as signs of progress or for year-to-year growth from last year despite the similar results? Yeah,
there's no doubt that's a challenge, and you play a lot of really good football teams. The margin for error is very small, and, we ran the ball better against a good defense, top 5 defense in the country in total defense. 5.3 yards a carry is definitely progress for that group. And thought Trent Hallen did a good job running the football, several others as well. But just got to continue. And I think even just protecting the quarterback as well, did some better things up front on the offensive line play. Definitely seen progress there. And there's just an overall team, obviously a lot of new faces when you have a new group of guys. And so you're just trying to continue to grow and develop them. And at the end of the day, we got to win. And we're not winning enough football games. So that becomes, that's what you do on game day, and that's how you're judged, and that's how it has to be. So the reality is we got to, continue to eliminate mistakes. The block punt is just a devastating, huge mistake that costly, very, very costly. And then the muff punt, and then it gives up 10 points, that you can't afford to give up, So, so you just continue to grow and build and develop, and to me, just offensively continue to build, who we want to be, and it starts up front. So we're definitely seeing progress there without question. And but playing it against another great defense this week, so it's just continued, working towards trying to find ways to move the football and get that ball in the end zone.
Tom, where do you sit in terms of the safety positions? Right now, obviously, it didn't look good for Noah Pierre, and Philip Dunham came off the field as well. What's the status of
So Noah will be out for an extended period of time. He's been such a great player for us and great leader for us. So Philip hopefully will get him back. But, other guys got to step up. We got, Lewis will be back. He was obviously with the targeting call, so he'll be back for the first quarter next week. So that'll be a plus for sure. And then Jordan Greer will be having to step up, and as well as Bryson Bonds will now be having an opportunity to be able to play. And so feel like we have some depth at that spot. But obviously, losing a guy like Noah for an extended period of time is a tough blow without question. But he's going to continue to be a great leader for us and continue to get himself back and hopefully back as soon as possible.
Coach, you mentioned you felt like there's been progress within the program. I know over the last few years you've talked about tweaks and adjustments you guys have made with the strength and conditioning program. Do you feel like there's still more room to improve there? And what kind of things would you like to see to get, maybe improve that part of the program?
Well, we made a huge emphasis on, the nutritional part of our program, and that's an investment piece that we have to do, and there's no question, and just ways to continue to develop our guys' bodies and to continue to allow them to physically grow and mature while they're here, and gaining good weight, and just continue to, get them as big and as fast and as strong as you can possibly be, and I think that our strength staff works their tails off with these guys and does a lot of work with them even mentally and getting our guys back each week and helping us with that regard. So, Coach Wellman does a phenomenal job, but you're always working hard to find ways to get better and improve, and to me, just everything we do to be able to help our guys, because those are the things that, as a developmental program, we have to do really well. Guys get here, they come here, their bodies can be grown and developed, and that's what you want to do, and have older guys that are playing for you. That's really the goal at the end of the day, and that's how you win in this conference. So I just think that's something that we're always looking at every possible way we can do to improve that area and keep investing in that part of our program.
Tom, over here. Can you talk a little bit about Holland and Farrell, Amari Farrell, just what you saw from them on Saturday and what you hope to get from them the rest of the way here? Yeah,
first off with Amari, as a true freshman, he's a guy that, even when you ask the older players, once we started practicing, since he's been here, it's been like, hey, this guy's got something different about him. He's a physical player. He kind of understands the game. And, he's a kid that's played a lot of football, being from Florida where you have spring football. And so he kind of brought that edge and confidence to him. So he had a chance to play an extended period of time, on Saturday, which was he was ready when called upon, and he's going to have to continue to grow in that role. So really excited for his future. He's a guy that we made a decision even, several weeks ago that we were not going to redshirt him because he was too valuable to us in playing on defense as well as special teams. And so really excited for his future. And then Trent, to me is a guy that's just really challenged about just using his size, and running with that kind of authority. And even though he's a big guy, he's always kind of been a little bit more of viewed himself as a finesse type runner. I'm like, that is not who you need to be. Now he's got great ball skills. He's a really good athlete. You should see him on the basketball court. He's an impressive athlete. Just thought he had a chance to really be a good player, and he came here, he had the knee injury right out of high school. Actually heard that he was a really good basketball player in high school, and he heard that playing basketball, so he came here that way. So it's just kind of taking him some time. But a big physical guy that just needs to take that ball and get downhill. And he's doing that now. And you can see the benefits of that for him and for us. So excited for him and his development and the way he's responded.
Yeah, just after you've had a little more time to watch the Rutgers game and kind of the struggles you had in terms of stopping the run, just what did you see as kind of some of those causes, and do you think some of those things are fixable at this point?
Yeah, there's no question that, studied it thoroughly, especially from the fact of, just doing certain things that, there's a physical toughness piece to stopping the run, and just felt like that, we got mismatched at times with some of our perimeter guys, just got physically was harder, just you got to be able to step up and tackle big physical backs and take on those blockers if you're a safety or a corner. But they do a good job of kind of creating those situations, formation where those guys have to step up and make those plays, was just disappointed that we weren't able to get some critical. We had a 4th and 4, it was a really critical play, I thought. We had a 3rd and 7 as well that we didn't get off the field, which would have forced a punt. Then we had the horse collar on the 3rd down play, a 3rd and 8 that kept that drive alive. And those things, they add up, and you think, because if you look at the sequence of plays that, we had 41 snaps of defense in the first half, which is too many. But the problem was the horse collar caused 6 more snaps. And that was self-inflicted by the defense. And then the muff punt caused 5 more snaps. So then now you take away 11 snaps. Now you're at 30 snaps, okay, which is where you want to be. So it's just like, wow, those things are, obviously they're not small, but you don't really necessarily talk about them, and yet they add up. And then that gives you to where now you're in the second half and you're playing too many snaps, and really it was because, some self-inflicted wounds. And then, we scored with 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. We didn't get the ball till 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Okay, and now we're down by 10 by the time we get the ball back again. So those are things that, and then within that, sequence was the 4th and 4 that we didn't get off the field, in that opening drive of the third quarter. So that, to me, are the things that I focus on, and because they kind of snowball on you a little bit, and then they wear you down when you're on the field too much. And so everybody just points to that, sees that stat, and said, oh, it's just all the offense. Well, that's special teams and defense as well. So I just feel like that, and we don't have a lot of margin for error in any of these areas. We got to be able to, so we got to get off the field in that 4th and 4. We got to get off the field in 3rd and 7, that 3rd and 8 situation as well. So I focus on that, and just being able to continue to find ways to take away what they do well. And, we did some good things. I thought the guys played hard, and I thought our D-line actually played well. I didn't think our linebackers played well at all. And we talked about that as a team, the players, coaches, that's nothing, they didn't play well. And that's where those guys have to, in my opinion. So and that hasn't been the case each week, but just calling like it is. And so the bottom line is that we got to be able to, yes, we can fix those things without question, but at the same time, there's a lot of little things that go into the sequencing of a game and how things, play out in the end.
Tom, you touched on it a little bit in that answer, but you guys went 2 for 11 on 3rd downs on Saturday, and that obviously led to some of the difficulties you had moving the ball later in the game. Just what do you need to do to be better in those situations? Yeah, and I think you look at that, and there's no question. The execution on a throw game, contested catches, ball out faster, protected pretty well. They obviously pressured at times, and you're trying to eliminate some of those opportunities for them to get those pressure units on the field, for your offense. And I even think too in the first half when we had the offensive pass interference call, which was a bust in assignment. It wasn't even supposed to be, that person wasn't supposed to be there. They were supposed to be running a vertical route. And so that really was kind of just killed that drive, and can't make those kind of mistakes, And so, but at the same time, it's the finish and our execution, with both receivers on finishing the routes, finishing the plays, quarterbacks as reads, and finishing, running backs protection, their blocking. So just got to keep working. I mean, you don't get the product you want. You make adjustments, which we continue to do, and the way we do things. And at the end of the day, we got to make plays, and we got to execute, and we got to find a way to, stay on the field on offense and those critical 3rd downs. And it's going to be no different this week. And we got to find a way to get off the field defensively on those 3rd downs. And those critical downs, 3rd and 4th downs, really define outcomes of games, because it's possessions, it's opportunities for offense to be able to stay on the field. So just keep working.
Coach, you've kind of talked about it with some of the self-inflicted mistakes, but specifically on special teams. Is there something that you can do or something that film is showing as to why there's been some mistakes in crucial times on special teams? Yeah, so in this one, with the protection, which hasn't been an issue, but was obviously in this game. So made some adjustments on that, how we can, help our guys out, be able to be effective in that regard, because you can't get a punt block. And then we worked so hard on catching punts and continue to do that, and just got to secure the football. I mean, there was just less than a minute to go in the half, I think 28 seconds, I think exactly, and just can't put our team in that position, So, but that to me is just continue reps, and then obviously if you got to, make adjustments personnel-wise, make adjustments, which we, in our punt, we're going to do that, So we just got to make sure the right guys are out there that can get the job done at critical times.
You mentioned meeting with the team yesterday. I recall Saturday you said you kind of had to really, I believe the words were, address it head on. What were kind of the main topics of conversation in that meeting yesterday, and how did you see your team respond? Well, I mean, you come in there and it's a Sunday, after they've already lifted, and they're obviously down, which they should be. I get that. And so everybody's down, and you're frustrated, you're disappointed. And so you just talk to them, just open and honest about, where we are, why we're here, how we got here, how we get out of here, and how you handle adversities in life. So I talked to him for about 20 minutes, and there's a little bit of football sprinkled in there. Talk about the game as we go through, but it really more it's about your mind and how you approach challenges, how you approach hard things. How do you just persevere through the difficulties? Sometimes they're self-inflicted, like they were on game day for us. Sometimes they're not, and so, but how do you respond to those things and try and say it in different ways and use just different methods? And I just pray for a lot of wisdom to do that, because it's hard. There's no doubt about it. And, guys we all want to win, and they're frustrated and they want to win, and we all, you're close to it, but then you don't finish it out, and you make mistakes that really make it hard. And so, how do you continue to, instead of just saying the same things over and over again, you try and say it in a different, fresh
way, and also just, bring up examples and things throughout the game and things that we can talk about, and even maybe some things that led up to it that you see that you need to address, or things you need to encourage and say, hey, we're right here when we just keep doing this and these kind of things. We talked about the sequencing of the game, and how those critical mistakes, have a way of mounting, and create more negative opportunities, for your team just because you have one little thing that wasn't executed in this particular way, whether it was offensively, defensively, or special teams. And then obviously you break off and then you get into the nuts and bolts of the scheme issues or things that you had on all three phases, So, but it's just the psychology of coaching. It's what you're doing.
You touched on this a little, Tom, in terms of against the run game, but they had, I think, 11 situations where they needed 3 yards or less for like a first down, short yard situations. Is there a limit to what scheme can do in those spots? It's more on the individual, like defensive line, linebackers to bow up. You mentioned physical and toughness.
Yeah.
Is that kind of, those are the determining factors? Nothing necessary, especially when they're running interior runs on all of those.
Yeah, I mean, there's a toughness piece, and they're kind of mashing you, schematically. The answer is stay out of them, and that's when you talk about, winning the early downs, and they were having too much success on first downs, and so it's created the third and mediums and third and shorts. And I think because you just statistically speaking, I don't care what level you coach at, third and shorts are obviously harder to stop, for the defense, and they're way higher % for the offense. And then it flips completely when you go to 3rd and 7+. So that's where we're trying to stay out of those. You get in a lot of 3rd and 1s, 4th and 1s. It's tough. Yeah, you can create a negative play every now and then and get those knockbacks. And we've actually, statistically, we've done well in those situations during the season, but you don't want to put yourself in that spot, especially if that's when that's where they hang their hat. That's what they do really well. So trying to stay out of those is really the best answer. And then when you get in them, boy, you got to fight and claw and scratch to try and find a way to create a negative play or get a stalemate, and that's hard to do with, big, strong Big Ten opponents without question.
Kind of out of left field, but asking about, I guess, targeting more generally. I think it's about 10 years it's been a rule now, and there's been a lot of debate basically about the merits of it. Is it too punitive in some ways? Should there be, I guess, levels of targeting, especially if you're going to go to review with it? As a coach, have you seen, I guess, positive impacts from at least the concept behind it, the motivation behind it? And do you think there are ways that maybe you could tweak it where, I don't know, you somehow make it maybe less punitive in certain situations, even if it's still a penalty?
Yeah, I think, great question. We've had many discussions about this as a staff and even as Big Ten head coaches. And so, first of all, I do think the targeting rule has been very good for football. I think it's reduced a lot of those shots that, we don't really want to be a part of our game where guys are getting injured. And just I think it's made our game safer. And I think that's a good thing for everybody. And player safety is at the top of the list. So I think that's good. Now, where the discussion has come, after we've had this for many years, is, should there be a targeting 1, targeting 2? In regards to this is my personal opinion, and I've voiced this with our coaches and even Big Ten coaches, and that is that, from my perspective, that, hey, if a guy just launches at a player and leads with the crown of his helmet, and you can see that on the review, that's a targeting call, and I think that's an ejection, because that's not how we want to play the game. You can control that, but when you're, as a defensive player, when you're tackling a guy and he just lowers his head, sometimes it's hard to avoid the helmet-to-helmet, because by definition it is a helmet-to-helmet collision. And so it is kind of what happened with Lewis Moore. I mean, I get it by the letter of the law, and so it wasn't some big argument or anything. I understand that, but just bigger picture-wise, is that really deserve an ejection? And so if you want to give a 15-yard penalty, that's fine. But I think most coaches would agree those kind of collisions are hard to prevent if you're a defensive guy and you're not trying to be malicious. You're not trying to, cold cock a guy that's not looking. He's running the ball right at you or at an angle, and you go to tackle him, and there's going to be helmet-to-helmet contact at times. So I just would personally like to see a distinction between the flagrant launching at a guy with the crown of your helmet. I think that should always be an ejection. And then if it's just a collision that happens because of the nature of playing football, they need to be able to review that. I think we can. We got technology to do it. And still, if it needs to be a penalty, that's fine, but don't kick him out of the game. So that's how I feel about it. We've had a lot of talks about it, and that's my opinion.
So many of your scoring drives have featured a lack of big chunk plays. That hasn't been a big part of this offense. What can you do schematically to try to create more of those opportunities? Because you've taken some shots, but they haven't. Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and it's definitely been, trying to create those with some of those shots. You know, we feel like we got some receivers that can do that. It's ball placement on the throws. It's coming down with them. It's being able to continue to work on those in practice without question, because there's no doubt. I mean, the more chances we have to create a chunk play, the better, higher percent you have of scoring points, you know, and that's why explosive plays are a big stat in winning football games. So it's just, to me, it's got to be a continued point of emphasis to be able to allow ourselves both schematically and in execution to be able to have more of those opportunities. I think we have some guys that can do that, and I want to see us do more of that. And so that, to me, is going to be an continued emphasis to be able to take some pressure off your offense. You don't have to drive the ball, you know, 13, 14 drives and 80-some yards. So that's definitely what we want to be able to do. All right, appreciate you guys. Have an awesome day. Elio.